Morning everybody. Standing in front of the header, as you can see, it's that time of year. So we are currently getting the header ready to do some harvesting. We haven't got very much to harvest, but we'll probably get it done in a couple of hours. It's about, I think about 10 acres of oats. So we had bigger hopes this year of doing a bit more, but the way it's panned out, we only have a small amount, which we're gonna strip for seed for next year. So that's the plan. So I better go over this, do all our checks, oil the chains, check the belts, check all the oils, which I think we've already done. I just cleaned out the air filter and chucked that back in. Blow all the mice and rat crap out of the header, out of the cab, because it hasn't been used in about 3 years, I don't think. And Dad's currently doing a welding job on the field bin, and we'll take that out there as well as the front to the oats, and maybe make a start tomorrow if all goes well. So we'll get all this oiled up and ready to fire up, and we'll give it a run, make sure everything works properly, and go from there. So last time we had this out was the start of 2020 when we did the barley out the front in the 80 acre paddock. We also did some self-sown wheat, and then that was all we stripped that year. We haven't used it since. So for those who haven't been around the channel for a while, this is a 955 John Deere header. It's a European built jigger from over in Germany. Not sure of the year, I think it's late 70s, but yeah, we're gonna get it sorted today. Also, Dad managed to finish all the baling. I think there's close to 600 bales, he said. We'll catch up with him later on, and we'll talk about the hay, possibly another video. But yeah, it all went well with what we had, and he managed to get it all done. So that's a good thing. Rightio, I'm up here in top of the header in the box. Got chains to oil up here. So we always oil our chains when we get the header out, because it sits for such a while. They get a bit rusty, and we want them all to be nice and lubricated. So we always oil them. So there's quite a few chains on this. Makes a little bit of a mess, but that's what you gotta do. So, because it's an old header, there's no hydraulic pumps running a lot of the equipment on it. It's all chains and belts. So, that's why we need to oil everything. Which is sort of a little bit annoying because it makes a bit of a mess, but there's not much you can do about it. A few more chains up there, run some of the cross augers. We've got a heap of belts down here, run the fan and other associated parts. So we generally go all over these as well. This one's got a bit of damage to it. Some of them probably do need to be replaced, but for what we're doing this year, fine. That one's got a crack there on the pulley. Big one up there. There's a few that need to be replaced. We need to do a lot of maintenance to this. Sort of wanted to do some this year, but never got time. But yeah, as I said, for what the little amount we're doing, it should be alright. We won't have to run for too long, so hopefully we don't have any issues. But one day we'll have to go right over this and give it a proper service and all that sort of thing, and make sure it is in tip-top shape. Rightio, finished oiling all the chains. They should be pretty right, hopefully. Next, I've got these two chains here, and they wrap around this coupling here and also connect to the front, and that's how they join together. but because they've been sitting in the cab for a while, they've gone all stiff and a little bit rusty. So we'll soak them in some diesel, and that'll loosen them all up and make them a little bit easier to hook up to the connections, because you've got to wrap them around really tight to join them, and sometimes it can be pretty hard. So we'll fill this up with diesel and let them soak. Right, actually all grazed up. A couple we got to do on the auger still, but it's easier when it's folded out. So not too many graze stipples on the old header, but still very important to get them all. So now that we've done that, we will do the crappy job of getting in the cab and blowing all the dust and mouse crap and rat crap out. Never pleasant, especially on a warm day when you're sweaty. So yeah, we'll get up there and do that. Righty, up here in the cab, the old seat, usually what the rats and mice attack. Used to be all foam and stuff across the wall as well. Used to be like the roof, but it all fell off. So anyway, we'll have to blast all this out. Looks like the rats have been chewing something green, so no doubt something plastic on the John Deere. Hopefully they haven't chewed any wires, because that's the last thing we want. So, it's the handle off the knobby. I don't know if that's been chewed or if it's just fallen apart. But that was a John Deere one. It was green. There's nothing on it. So we'll give this a blowout. Alright, it's a little bit better. You can spend all day in here. Probably should give it a vacuum, but I ain't worrying about it. So, tell you what we're dealing with in here. So, when these tractors come to Australia, I'm pretty sure the story goes, they don't come with a cab. They got built by a mob up in Arnotts called, I think it was Jason, Arnotts, Victoria. And they'd built the cab and put it on the tractor. Or header in this case, they also do tractors. So what this comes with is your cab, and they also put in a cooler. So all it is at the moment is just a fan that blows hot air on you when it's hot. There's a water bowl on top of the roof. It's meant to be like, we call it a swampy, because it takes like evaporated, like cold air off the water, runs it through the cooler, and that's meant to cool you down. The only problem was that Dad says when you fill up the bowl up there, because there's a jerry can on the side that pumps water into the bowl, when you're going over rough terrain, the water would splash out of the bowl, go through the fan, and then blast like water into your face, or like leak through the box. So he stopped using the actual cooler part of it. So now it is a fan, which is a pretty good little fan, but it just generally sucks in dust from up outside and just blows it onto you, which is better than nothing still, but it's not amazing. So it gets pretty hot inside the cap. As you saw, we just brought the field bin out. So we're bringing the stuff out now. We're going to have a quick look at this Oats, and we'll bring the header front out, and then we'll go back and fire up the header and possibly bring it out as well.
G'day viewers. We're out here in this bit of Oats. Cam pans around here now. This is probably the best patch. There's a bit of a wet spot that I can see. It's a bit light, and I can see another bit on the other side of that. It's a bit more goldier looking. There'll be a bit of grain in there. Up the far end of this little patch that the boys left, it's a bit light on. There's a fair bit of summer weed come up through it. I think today's going to be about 30 degrees. Low 30s, high 20s or something like that. We'll go back and get the header and bring the front out and whatever. Tomorrow's going to be about 32, 33, so I might give it a go then. I'll only cut the best of it out for a bit of seed. There'll be enough here for a bit of seed. Because I don't really want to be gnawing through all that green stuff if I don't have to. So we'll give it a go tomorrow. I think Cam was going to come back out and maybe take a few flicks. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, there's a fair bit of grain still in the heads. It's only, well, I haven't had a lot to do with oats for a long time. It's probably no smaller than what the stuff was that we sowed. About the same. Seems to hang in the head all right, this oat. So don't think the wind will shake it out or anything like that. Even in these old round bales I baled up the other day. Might have knocked a little bit out, but there's still quite a bit of oat hung in there in the bale. I think the cattle and the sheep will eat it. Not so much worried about the sheep because they'll pick through it, but if the cows can get a fair percentage of it, that'll be good. Yeah, it's not a bad oat really for this modern day age. But anyway, we'll go and have a bo peep at the other stuff, and Cam will keep you informed.
Rightio, so we've taken the field bin and the header front out. We're about to start the header up and move it and run it just to make sure everything operates all right and blow the crap out of it that's sitting in there. So because it has been a few years since we've had the header on the channel and we've got a lot of new subscribers since then, Dad's just going to have a quick chat about just a bit of history about it and what he's done with it over the years and how long he's had it and etc, etc. So I'll give this over to him.
Yeah, g'day. Hey viewers. This is obviously for all the newbies. This here is a John Deere 955 header. European jigger. Oh, I can't think when they come out. Probably would have been 1975, 1976, something like that. I bought it in 1982, I think it was. 1982, for a grand total of $45,000. That was a lot of money for this machine back then. Probably wouldn't get 2 bob for it now, but anyway. Yeah, it's got a 20-foot front. No air conditioned cab, it's just got blowers. But I can put up with that. Yeah, it's not a bad old machine. When I was in full flight, I suppose, between everything else I used to do, I used to crop about 1,600 acres over a varying area between here and down south and up north a little bit. Harvested basically wheat, barley and oats. Done a couple of little paddocks of dun peas. We did grow a fair few sunflowers there at one stage when we found out they were a fairly marketable commodity, but then of course the birds came in and took over and it wasn't worthwhile mucking around cockatoos and glars and every other feathered fiend, so we give them away. But yeah, it's a handy enough old jigger. Haven't had too much go wrong with it, a couple of little niggly things, but yeah. So we're going to give it a bit of a run now before we take it out to paddock, as Cam said, to blow all the rat shies and out of it and whatever, and make sure everything goes round. So we'll leave it at that and we'll catch you in a little while, I dare say.
Rightio, we've got the header out here. So everything we need to start harvesting is out here and ready to go. So tomorrow we'll hook it all up to the front, I think, unless Dad changes his mind, which I hope he hasn't. But yeah, we'll hook it all up tomorrow and we should be able to start harvesting. By the looks of it, either Jamie or Simon has just started harvesting that front 80 acres of wheat. So we might be able to put the drone up and get some footage of them. We'll see what they're doing. They might be just doing a sample box. They might not go all day, but if they are, we'll chuck the drone up and get some footage of them out there with their updated version of a John Deere header. Rightio, so just come back up the shed. Looks like Jamie and, well, Simon's out there actually in the header. We just spoke to him on the phone. Apparently he was just doing a sample and the moisture's too high, so I don't think he'll be going for a little while still, so might not get to get any footage of him today because I'm about to knock off. But anyway, we'll be back out tomorrow to do our own harvest, which is, in my opinion, more interesting using the old header. So make sure you tune in next week for some harvesting action. Big time farmers, big time machines, big time crops. We'll catch you in the next one. Hooroo.